What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Xery from the XMG coming at you today to bring you the top 20 non-leadership abilities in the game of Dragon Champions. Now let me start off by saying this is my list. It is subjective to me. This is how I feel. Feel free to let me know how you feel. Some of these might shock you, some of them might not. But please let me know what you think down below. But before we get into that, I was watching Darth Microtransactions video the other day. He brought up a stat about people watching his videos that weren't subscribed. So I did the same thing, and I looked at mine. 54% of the people who are viewing my videos are not subscribed. What are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button, join the XMG family, turn on notification bell so you're not missing out on good content coming your way. So you might be saying, Xery, how come you excluded leadership and abilities? Technically, they are abilities. I understand that. I understand that leadership is a huge part of this game. But my feelings on leadership is they are very subjective to who you have in your team. And that is what really makes the leadership good. Or great. However you want to put it. So with that out of the way, let's get started with my top 20 non-leadership abilities in Dragon Champions. Number 20. Number 20 comes to you from Tromgar. Tromgar is a clan's orc leader, defender, dragon slayer. Everybody is familiar with Tromgar, but the move I want to talk about is his basic ability, Crushing Blow. Crushing Blow deals 210% of physical damage to an enemy with a 35% chance to stun. The reason this comes in at number 20 is because it does have a 35% chance to stun. If it was higher, this could be up higher on the list. Stunning a target on your basic ability, pairing him with himself, where he gives himself counter, or a Kyra who gives counter chance to defenders, just can annoy the piss out of you. And it can be used in so many different combinations simply because he can stun on his basic. That is why Tromgar and his Crushing Blow come in at number 20 on my list. Number 19. Number 19 comes to us from Fao. Fao is a panda fighter ranger traveler under the Order faction. She isn't used quite a bit, but Dragon Love Gaming did a video about dodge and how annoying and broken dodge can be at times. Well, what we're going to talk about today is Fao's Grace ability. She gains a dodge increase and then applies it to all allies for 2 turns. A 2-turn dodge increase to all allies, regardless of if they are Order or clans or pandas or demons, doesn't matter. A dodge increase to all members of your party for 2 turns, again, is super annoying, increases the survivability of your team, is an overall very good ability. That is why Grace comes in at number 19 on my list. Number 18. Number 18 comes to us from Thalia. Thalia is an elf fighter, mage, and tactician from the Order faction. She is a really cool character in a pretty subpar faction. Other than her and Nightiel, there isn't really anybody in the elves that stick out. But one move for me really sets her apart. And that move is her Neurotoxin ability. It deals 230% of damage to all enemies, so we have an AoE ability, but it inflicts a damage decrease for 2 turns, and then if they are a goblin, it also slows them for 2 turns. Now with Murdoch coming out, people are starting to mess around with goblins, and slowing the goblin team down can really help you beat that team. But on top of that, you are also getting a damage decrease to the whole team on an AoE for 2 turns. Awesome move. Potential anti-meta character. That is why Thalia and her Neurotoxin come in at number 18 on my list. Number 17. Number 17 comes to us from Patriarch Chi. He is an Order panda healer leader. Patriarch Chi is a very great character for the tower, mid-game. His kit and his leadership really help you out in that area, especially in tower. But Patriarch Chi has one move to me that just I am absolutely in love with, and I think it's a great ability. It can increase the survivability of your whole team. It can just swing the tide of a battle in your favor. And that ability is Fortitude. It gives an ally shield equal to 700% of Patriarch Chi's magic damage. So you're restoring shield, 700% of his magic damage to that shield, but on top of that, you're also removing 2 debuffs from an ally. This is huge. If you're going up against a Tromgar team and your tank is stunned, you could put this on him or her, restoring their shield, and then taking that stun away, taking that debuff immunity away, taking the invisibility away. Just a fantastic move. Really, really does a lot of things to help out your overall cause. That is why Fortitude from Patriarch Chi comes in at number 17 on my list. Number 16. Number 16 comes to us from Cruel. Cruel is a human fighter mage from the orc faction. Cruel is one of my favorite characters in the whole game. You might be thinking I put on Mirror Image or her passive ability, but it is not those moves. The move for Cruel that can help in any situation, change the tide of battle, is her second ability, I Am the Knight. It deals 330% of magic damage to an enemy. If an enemy is a defender, he gains invisibility for 2 turns. If you have a reflection on the battlefield, it also calls them into assist. So let's break this down for a minute. 330% of magic damage. That's fantastic. But Kyra is a staple in the arena, in tower. You are just seeing Kyra everywhere. And what this move is a direct counter to Kyra. She will pop the invisibility, her Go Dark move. What that does is it leaves the tank with the counter chance. You can't go after anybody else. You save this ability for when that happens. If you can't get Kyra down fast enough, you put that on the tank and you have free reign to go wherever you want. Just an utterly fantastic move. It can also be used in the raids, in the Soleus. Even though Soleus has the immunity to magic damage, what it can do is it can take that tank away, so you can go back to targeting Soleus if you don't have a puncher face or a slinger or somebody like that on your team who can dispel. It is a soft dispel while doing some damage. That is why I Am the Knight comes in at number 16 on my list. Number 15. For number 15, we head back to the Panda faction, and we are taking a look at Kin Lee. He is a Panda, obviously, defender leader from the Order faction. Kin Lee is a great early tank, especially paired with Patriarch Chi. He also can be paired with Soleus quite nicely. But the move that I love about Kin Lee is his passive ability, Spiritual Recovery. Kin Lee recovers 20% health at the start of his turn. Tanks need to survive. Defenders need to be alive as long as possible. And you have a passive ability that is restoring 20% health every time Kin Lee goes. Amazing. It can really help him stay alive, keeping your team alive, just continually helping your survivability of your team. Your progress in tower can be determined on how you play your cooldowns. You might not have to heal Kin Lee, and you can save your heal for the next round with this Spiritual Recovery. Unbelievable move. Great passive for a defender. Absolutely love it. That is why Spiritual Recovery from Kin Lee comes in at 15 on my list. Number 14. 14 comes to us from Soleus. Soleus is a human healer leader from the Order faction. Everybody knows about Soleus. Everybody knows about his leads. Everybody knows about his mass AoE heal. Everybody knows about his synergy with Nightiel. But I'm here to talk about his third ability. And his third ability is called, and that ability is Ammo's Blessing. What it does is it heals an ally for 40% of their max health, applies armor decrease, tenacity increase, haste, damage increase, and cheat death for 2 turns. This ability can, again, increase your survivability. It is not the best heal in the world, but it is a great move to keep somebody up and keep them alive long enough until his cooldown is back on his mass AoE heal. If somebody is on the brink of death and you put Ammo's Blessing on them, they get cheat death. They get the 40% of their max health. And then on top of all that, they get the armor increase, tenacity increase, haste, damage, all that good stuff too. But the main factor here is that it gives you a soft heal with the 40%, cheat death for 2 turns, increasing your survivability. It helps in every single game mode. That is why Ammo's Blessing comes in at 14 on my list. Number 13. We're staying in the human faction for number 13, and we're going to talk about Little Baddie. Little Baddie is a human defender and gladiator. She is from the Order faction. She, in my opinion, is the best tank in the game, hands down. Love what she brings to the table. The move that comes in at number 13 for me is her passive ability, which is Flawless Defense. Flawless Defense allows Little Baddie to survive a fatal blow, protecting herself with a shield equal to 30% of her max health. Any effects active on her are removed, can be triggered only once per battle. The once per battle part, absolutely fine with that. What is really cool is any effect she has on her will be removed, so if she is taunting at the time, that is gone. So that allows them to take over and attack somebody else, which is really nice because that can, again, much like the move we just had with Ammo's Blessing from Soleus, allows her to hang in there until she can be healed. I can't tell you how many times on a tower run Little Baddie was gonna die, and then this kicked in. Next move up was Soleus. He healed her right back up, and she's back in the fight. Now, this can only be triggered once per battle, so keep that in mind. Every single level of tower is a different battle. So every time you go into the tower mode, this can be triggered over and over and over. For a tank to be able to survive and then heal herself for 30% of a shield equal to her max health, which is, love this move, love her move kit. That is why Little Baddie and her Flawless Defense coming in at number 13 on my list. Number 12. Number 12 comes to us from the Elf faction and Nightiel. Nightiel is a fighter, mage, traveler, and leader from the Order faction. She is an absolute amazing character. Great character design. She brings a lot to the table. But the move I really want to focus on and talk about today is her passive ability, Night Priestess. Her passive ability allows Nightiel to remove 1 debuff from herself and Soleus, and 1 buff from a random enemy at the start of the turn. If Soleus is on the battlefield, you remove 2 buffs. I don't know about you, but in my tower runs, I fight so many Tromgar teams on my climb and tower every single day. Having this ability maxed out, pairing her with a Soleus, and even if you don't have Soleus yet, the chance to remove either the counter from Tromgar, the taunt from Tromgar, or if Tromgar's already dead and Rantha drops Battle Poo, he will taunt, you can get rid of that. It just opens up so many options in your fight, no matter where you are. Just an extremely good move, and it is guaranteed to remove 1. Now, the only bad part is that it's a random enemy. If that was not a random enemy, definitely would be higher on the list. But that is why Nightiel and her Night Priestess come in at number 12 on my list. Number 11. Number 11, we head over to the orcs again, and we're talking about Hard Orc. Hard Orc is a tactician, warrior, and a traveler, and he hails from the clan's faction. Hard Orc, I think he could be one of the best plug-and-play, if not the best plug-and-play character in the game, and his move kit is absolutely phenomenal. I love the way they created this character as well. They're poking fun at their own model. Absolutely love it. I think it's a great touch for the game. But the move I want to talk about here at number 11 is his passive ability, the Wall of Sound. Hard Orc removes 1 debuff from 4 random allies at the start of the turn. So let's read that again. He removes 1 debuff from 4 random allies, not orcs, allies, at the start of his turn. This can cripple teams. You put him in a team where you're countering the brand new character in the game of General Murdoch, where he is so dependent on slow or damage decrease, or Amara is so dependent on having burn stacked, or a Rival who needs bleeds. Every time he goes, he's stripping a debuff off an ally. And the fact that it is ally and not a specific faction makes this move unbelievable. And that is why Wall of Sound comes in at number 11 on my list. Number 10. Number 10, we're heading back to Little Baddie. Again, I cannot tell you how good her move kit is. We already talked about her flawless defensive passive. And if you've been watching my channel long enough, you know I hate moves that essentially kind of make you lose a turn. And when tanks just taunt, it drives me crazy. Yeah, it's nice to have the taunt. I understand why it's there. But I love moves that give you taunt and something else. That is why we are going to talk about her shield throw. Shield throw deals 260% of physical damage to an enemy. And then it also attacks 2 random enemies, dealing 130% of physical damage to them. That's nice, but that isn't why it's awesome. Dealing damage with this ability removes 1 buff. Little Baddie gains taunt for 2 turns. So you're getting taunt. You're dealing damage. And if it hits, as long as they don't dodge, which can happen, believe it or not, you're removing a buff from them. You can strip taunt from a tank. You can strip counter chance. You can strip damage increase. You can hit invisibility. This move is just the best taunting mechanism in the game. Absolutely phenomenal move. That is why Shield Throw and Little Baddie come in at number 10 on my list. Number 9. For 9, we head over to the Pride faction to talk about Salvador. Salvador is the Pride Defender. He is a tank's tank, the truest tank in the game. He is a meat shield, and he has some really cool design. I love that he's a turtle. There's one move in particular that Salvador does, which is absolutely phenomenal, and that move is Steel Shell. Salvador gains Steel Shell for 2 turns. Steel Shell decreases all damage taken by 90%. Salvador has a 50% chance to gain debuff immunity for 2 turns. So you have taunt on Salvador, and you pop Steel Shell. Everyone has to attack you. It is decreasing damage by 90%. And then you have a 50% chance to gain debuff immunity. Awesome. In the video that you saw when I was reading this description, you saw the damage. 800 damage, 63 damage. It just increases his survivability so much, increasing your overall survivability of your team that much more. And Pride desperately need their healer in the game. Renara needs to come, and I will give you a little hint. I've been messing around against the Murdoch meta to try to find a soft counter for people who didn't get a Murdoch. And if Renara is as good as her move kit suggests, I think Pride, and I'm going to have to test it when she comes out, but I definitely think Pride could be a soft counter to that of the Goblins because of this Steel Shell ability. Because it takes all those glass cannons, gives them a tank that isn't going to die, who can possibly get debuff immunity on himself, and lets them just pound away with their damage. So that is why Steel Shell from Salvador comes in at number 9. Number 8. Number 8 comes to us from Puncherface, Clan's Demon Fighter Warrior. Puncherface is really cool, and you might be thinking I'm going to talk about his passive ability because it gives you so much speed. Well, I'm not. I'm sure you all know about his Earthquake ability, and that is the ability that is number 8 on my list. And what it does is it deals 210% physical damage to all enemies. And that's nice, it's an AoE, but it also inflicts taunt for 2 turns. Now what'll that do? It's great for raids in Solius. Also, it is a counter to Kyra, because she'll pop everybody invisibility. He throws on Earthquake, boom, they're all out of invisibility because they all just gain taunt. You're not trapped behind the defender. Just an overall really, really cool move. You want Puncherface to be fast. You want him to stay alive so he can get this move off. Really helps your survivability. Works great in tower mode as well. Overall, fantastic move. Really cool ability. Really helps you out. That is why Puncherface and his Earthquake come in at number 8 on my list. Number 7. Number 7 comes to us from Yogi, another Pride member. Yogi is by far and away my favorite character design in this game. Love the way he looks. I love how his eyes go all over the place. He changes colors. Just a really cool character design. But we're not here to talk about character designs. We're here to talk about moves. And Yogi has one of the best moves in the game. Obviously, coming in at number 7, we are here to talk about the Sands of Time. Now, what the Sands of Time does, it restores 2 random abilities, cooldowns. Then it gives 50% turn meter to the target ally. So why does this make this so good? Because the random ability part is nice. You can put that on your healer, your tank. You can get your taunt back up. You can get your heals off if it procs. But the cool part is 50% turn meter to the target ally, not random. So many moves that even in this list we've gone over say random. You can select who's getting your 50% turn meter. It is one of the only moves in the game that allow you to select a target to receive the turn meter. That is why Sands of Time from Yogi coming at number 7. Number 6. Number 6 is Kyra. And I'm sure you all know the move I'm going to talk about. She is a demon fighter ranger and a bounty hunter from the Clans faction. And the move that makes her so well known is her basic ability, Arrows of Chaos. Just kidding, not at all. It's her Go Dark ability, and we've all seen it, we've all fought it. It is just a pain in the balls. I hate it. Hate fighting her. You gotta kill her first. She just makes you choose between somebody like a possible major shot or a Mara that could just start whittling and destroying your team, or even a hard orc, to get her out of the way first. Now, Go Dark, in case you don't know, gains invisibility and applies it to all healers, tacticians, fighters for 2 turns. But the bread and butter of this move, it applies counterattack to all allied tanks for 2 turns. And then on top of that, it gives your whole team, all allies, regardless of faction, 25% turn meter. And then a bonus, if you're running her with Venomate, he receives haste for 2 turns. So you're taking all your squishy glass cannon healers and you're hiding them behind stealth. You're giving your tank counter chance. You put counter chance on a tank like Tromgar, we know he's going to stun. You put it on the demon tank of Mega Wheel, he's spreading the pain around. You put it on Little Baddie has a chance to remove turn meter on her basic. It just gives your team that edge. And there's plenty of times higher in tower, I can't get her down, I gotta restart the fight. It takes me 3 or 4 times until I get the RNG right, or the stun stick, whatever it takes to get her down. Her Go Dark ability is a really, really great move. She does do some really good damage as well, so that is a plus. But her Go Dark move is what sets her apart in this game, and it comes in at the 6th best non-leadership ability. Number 5. Number 5 comes from the 7-star legendary unlock, General Murdoch, Goblin Tactician, Road Traveler, and a Leader. Hails from the Clans faction. He's boss. He has a great move kit. There's one move in particular, though, that comes in at number 5 for me, and that is his second ability, It's a Trap. What It's a Trap does, it deals 400% of physical damage to an enemy. If the target is inflicted by slow, you decrease their turn meter by 50%. If the target is inflicted by a damage decrease, you summon a random ally for help. Now, there's plenty of times when you're using Murdoch, and I know a lot of you haven't had that opportunity, and I'm just blessed that I have, that they have slow and damage decrease. So, you throw this on them, you're dealing 400% of physical damage to an enemy. Then, you're reducing their turn meter by 50%. Then, you're calling in someone to help you out. And it doesn't say Goblin. It says random ally. So if you have him on a demon team, he can call in a demon. You have him on your human Soleus team. He could call in Soleus, which would then call in Nightiel. The possibilities with this move are great. You're doing massive damage. You're removing 50% of their turn meter, and then you're getting somebody to help you out if all the criteria is met. And this isn't a criteria like that of Corkroom, where you got to have them stunned and burning. Slow and damage decrease. He inflicts all of those in his move kit, and they stick. So just an overall really great move with lots of potential, and it's a plug and play move. That's why it's a trap. From General Murdoch comes in at 5. Number 4 comes to us from Eric the Shieldbreaker. I just did a new video on him, so if you haven't seen it, card's up in the description. But Eric the Shieldbreaker has a unbelievably underrated move, in my opinion, and that is Rousing Cry. What it does is it gains debuff immunity and an armor increase, and applies it, both of them, to 4 allies for 2 turns. So it's your whole team, essentially, unless you have like a mirror image called in, or Rantha drops Battle Poo. You're doing it on your whole team for 2 turns. Debuff immunity is one of the strongest buffs you can receive in this game. It could be number 1. It shuts down Tromgar. It shuts down General Murdoch. It shuts down Amara. It shuts down Venomate. Anybody who is reliant to do more damage because of a debuff on a team just gets shut down by this move. You're giving it to their whole team for 2 turns. Rousing Cry is, in my opinion, extremely underrated, and it is an extremely good move. And then to top it all off, let's give you a little armor increase, so that when you get hit, you're not taking as much damage. That is why Rousing Cry from Eric the Shieldbreaker comes in at number 4. Number 3. Number 3 comes to us from Major Shot. Could have one of the best move kits that nobody talks about. His move kit is just superb for what you want him to do. And he has one move that comes in at number 3 that can just destroy whatever you're trying to do if you do not kill him fast enough. And that move is Flashbang. It inflicts blindness to all enemies for 1 turn, and heal block for 2 turns. So you time this right, whether it's a raid, whether it's in tower, whether it's in PvE campaign missions. You time this right for, let's say, a Freezard when he's about to do his mass AoE. He misses. You don't take that damage. Then Soleus comes by to heal him because you got him down past cheat death. It doesn't work. This move can absolutely cripple your team. It is so good. The cooldown is fairly low for a move with this power. The top 3 were really, really hard for me. This could be number 1. But the other 2 I felt were just a little better. And that is why Flashbang from Major Shot comes in at number 3 on my list. Number 2. For number 2, we head back to the best plug-and-play character in the game, Hardork. And we talked about his Wall of Sound, where he dispels debuffs on your team. Well, now we're going to talk about his third ability, Devil's Horns. What Devil's Horn does is it gains cheat death, regeneration, a damage increase, and it applies it to 4 allies for 2 turns. Again, the best plug-and-play character in the game, in my opinion. So, what is that doing for your team? 1, it's giving you a passive heal with regeneration. It is giving you more damage with the damage increase, and it is giving you cheat death for 2 turns on a very manageable cooldown. You can use it on your 3rd turn. This can increase the longevity of your team. It makes you more survivable. It just is amazing. Now, if it said gain cheat death, it would have been way higher up. If it was just regeneration and damage, I don't even know if it'd be on the list. But you're giving yourself cheat death, regeneration, and more damage to 4 allies for 2 turns. That is why Devil's Horns from Hardork comes in at number 1. And get ready for it. I think it's going to surprise you. Number 1 comes to us from the brand new demon, Slinger. He is a fighter, warrior, and a leader. And you're probably looking at your screen going, Xery, what the hell are you talking about? And remember, this is my list, but Slinger has the potential to be a plug-and-play character, and he has, in my opinion, the best move in the game. And here it is. Cannonball. And here's why. It deals 250% of physical damage to all enemies. So it's an AoE, and you're doing pretty decent damage. Critical hits remove 1 buff from an enemy. This is the only mass dispel in the game. It is dependent on a critical hit, I understand that. This game does not have a mass dispel. This is a 2-turn cooldown potential mass dispel. It takes 1 critical hit to remove 1 debuff. You're stripping invisibility. You're stripping taunts, counter chances. It can be used in any single game mode. I might be overvaluing this, the ability to have a mass dispel on a 2-turn cooldown is just unbelievable. So YouTube, there it is. There's my list of the top 20 non-leadership abilities in Dragon Champions. So tear me up. Tell me what you agree with. Tell me what you don't. I hope this helped somebody. A lot of them, people might have already known. Some of them you might not have. You might not have realized how good, because you might not have that character yet, of how good they could actually be. And again, just remember, this is my subjective opinion. Blame me, yell at me, congratulate me. But that's where we're at. Always remember, leave me a comment, I'll respond. Subscribe to the channel. Become part of that XMG family. Don't miss out on good stuff coming your way. Got a question for me or you want to talk about my choices? The link for my Discord channel is in the description below. You can DM me there. You can just write it in general. Does not matter. Thanks for always writing. Thanks for the interaction. I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.